Hello, 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 everyone. We're going live. Uh, I am Kenton. I say we. There's a lot of guides in the room. I am Kenton David Bell, and I'm your host. And this is live streaming for soul food and fuel for your life. And we've gone back and forth a few times on live streaming on this channel or my other channel Secrets to Law of Attraction, and I've made up my mind we're going to keep it here on the Soul Food and Fuel for Life um, channel. Great. Great to be with you all here. It's been quite a week. We're at a pivotal time for humanity's evolution. Now, it's somewhat debatable what I'm about to share, depending on who you speak to and where you access your information. But we're right at the end. I think we're at the end of the what's called the Kali Yuga. And this is the end of the fourth age of four different ages in Hindi cosmology, mythology. And I'm noticing quite a shift this week. It's been kind of intense. And there's a real sense of the old truly ending and a new beginning, a new doorway, a new pathway, bridge, whatever you want to call it. And of course, these beginnings and endings don't literally happen in one day like we would like to think they do. They happen kind of gradually over time. For instance, the Mayan calendar also, ended. Supposedly, ending was in 2012, December 2012. And personally, I didn't feel any significant shift in. Not that I was thinking I would, but this week in particular, I noticed something very tangible, I would say. And it happens to coincide with what many are calling the end of the Kali Yuga. That's happening this week. Plus, we have a couple eclipses. We had the lunar eclipse recently, and then we had the partial solar eclipse. I think it was yesterday. Yesterday, I believe it was. We didn't have it here in Arizona. You couldn't see it, but it's affecting all of us, whether we see it or not. Now, I'm not an astrology person. That's not what I do. It does affect us, though. And the Kali Yuga, in particular, is a time of um, the unraveling of morality and supposedly a lot of sin and um, deception taking place. And you look around in our world right now, just turn on the media, and you see stuff like this all over the place right now. So we're in a I'm laughing. My guides are kind of around talking to me a little bit. Um, we're excuse me. We're in a time where the humanity, our vibration in general, is at an all-time low. Here we have all these technological advances in many ways in our world. At the same time, the inner world of humanity is suffering like never before right now, it seems. And so there's a big shift going on, and you can look at it from different perspectives. You can look at it from a perspective of what's wrong with the world. You can look at a perspective what's right from in the world, and you can look. I choose to look at it as what's right in the world, meaning using a lot of the outer events happening that we all are witnessing is actually a show of contrast for us. It gives us the ability to choose through contrast. That's the only way that we learn here and are able to manifest and create on planet Earth is through that choice of duality and contrast. So what we see out in the world, if we don't like it, we choose something else. Now, that's a great option usually, but I think that there's a third option now, and that is to transcend those choices of duality. So we're moving into a time where I call what's going to be the next evolutionary cycle of humanity Cosmic Human 2.0. And this is where the human is much more attuned to their source and their frequency, their own unique soul signature, you might even say. And right now, we're in a time of what I call the reflection projection age. And you just turn on the media, the news, and you'll see people arguing back and forth. You know, so it kind of keeps you trapped in a particular arena, a particular world. As long as you are in that, you are part of it. Whether it's you're for something or against something, you're actually supporting the thing you're against by arguing about it. So, what I propose is that we actually transcend this old paradigm of duality where there's the reflection and projection. And coming from a place of, spiritual teacher, healer, coach, and all that channel, what I get is that it's about holding the light within us rather than projecting it outward. So most of what people see in the outer world is actually in their own energetic field. And they just don't know it. They're projecting their stuff outward, whether it's what they want or what they don't want. And this continues on until the individual begins to transcend that. And the only way it's possible is through really understanding and accepting and doing their shadow work. Most people don't want to do this. Most people who have a little bit of an idea of what shadow work is maybe think they've done it, but really haven't gone deep enough. So this is the stuff that's coming up that's keeping people stuck in the old while the new is actually here and ready for us to step into it if we are capable of doing so. So there's some tools that we can all access, and they're pretty much common sense tools, not common sense that you hear out in the world, but common sense to the knowing and the actual wisdom of your being. Discernment is a really big one here. Um, on one level, maybe there is no right or wrong, but we do live in a collective society where we must have guardrails and structure in order to live, you know, with civility to some degree with our fellow human being. So all of these structures of our moralities, our values, the structures in society itself are all up for change right now. So what I'm seeing as the way forward is what I'm calling the cosmic human 2.0. And what this means is it's coming from more of a vertical interpretation and relationship with life rather than what we might call a horizontal relationship with life. Okay. So the horizontal would be what we call the real world. And many people see that as, the only world really there is. And they assume that reality is a very fixed thing that they are reacting to, acting at, reacting with. And these are the people who are also playing the reflection projection game. And as long as you're in that, you're not a very powerful creator of your own experience, life experience. Now, when you go into the vertical, you're tapping into your we call it your higher self, but even more than the higher self now. What you're doing is you're tapping into your soul's pure energy, the part of your soul that is individuated for this lifetime in particular. And some are tapping into what we call the oversoul. We're not going to go into that right now. I'm just kind of giving an overlay of how I see it. There literally is a sense of walking through a barrier or a door when you cross out of the old and into the new. Some might call it moving from the third into the fourth and into the fifth dimension. Others might call it, I like the term, for instance, creator status. And that's when you start to realize that you are a creator of your life experience and not just reacting to it, which is where we are headed, I believe. Now, what's happening is people are living in fear right now. A lot of us, I have fear at moments because of all the drastic changes happening on the planet all at once. It could just our government, our politics, financial systems, all of this stuff is part of the illusion that's changing. It's illusion, but it's also real. What we call reality is an illusion. But when you come from a higher place, from what we call creative status, this is a part of you that then begins to create your reality rather than reacting to it. So it's a big difference. Now, that is on a individual level, I would say. But we also have the collective. We're all in this together, really. Now, as you move from the third into the fourth dimensional space, the fourth dimension is a place that's also in the astral. And a lot of people are stuck in the astral. That's where a lot of the hate and banter takes place in the astral realm. The only way to navigate the astral realm successfully is with unconditional love for all others and complete acceptance of what is. Now, that doesn't mean you have to like it, but the acceptance of it and understanding that there is this place in a purity within all of us that comes from love. And that's where we come from, is love. When you begin to understand that, it's as though the love is the oil that greases the wheels in the astral. The astral is also the place where we get trapped. The astral is also the place where most of our current lifetime wounds are stored, as well as past life wounds, traumas, so on. And everybody has trauma. Everybody has trauma. The thing to start to realize is that everybody has trauma. And most likely, if you're being triggered by something, it's a good chance that it is your trauma and not outside of you, even though you're reacting to something which you think is outside of you. So when you heal all your trauma and begin to transcend this, you begin to move into a fifth dimensional state, which is where you start to understand your own authorship, your own creative status as a human creator in this world that we call, planet Earth, and that reality. So humanity's kind of moving between third, fourth, and fifth dimensional experiences right now, densities. Okay. And if you're in a fifth dimensional experience, it becomes more and more difficult to try to step down into a fourth or third dimensional experience. As a matter of fact, at a certain point, your energy begins to pull out of these lower dimensional energies. You'll start to notice people start to fade away. People in your life, maybe even family members, all of a sudden, there's not this connection maybe that was there before. And it's not your job to try to take people with you. So it is a very, very drastic shift that is occurring. And while we're all in it together, there's many of us who are um, choosing to move into the new and leaving the old behind. For instance, like I still watch some news. I don't watch too much of the mainstream news, more stuff on YouTube. But that's a good example of kind of all of the kind of the dumpster that all of the stuff that humanity's working through goes. You've heard the term dumpster fire. That's a really good example of that. So what you consume has a lot to do with where you're living and where you're going to be living in your life. Now you can watch some news, but if you're totally absorbed in that, you're probably not going to have the experience of participating in creating of your own reality, because in that space, in that realm, there is not the thought that you create your own reality if you think about it. You see, as a matter of fact, this psychology in general, and most of us think in a psychological mindset. Psychology itself doesn't lend a whole lot of room for that, unless you get into more of the mystical teachings of like Carl Jung. The Freudian approach really doesn't leave much room for that, I find. And so, with also our current Judeo Christian mindsets, like about religion and belief systems like that, those are also up for review right now in many of us. The Christianity in our world, especially here in the US, has become so damaged and so far from what it was truly the true teachings of Christ that you can't even really recognize it anymore. It's now been weaponized quite a bit and used to turn people against each other, which is not what Christianity was about originally. It has been about that for a long time, but it's even gotten worse. So these are a lot of the just examples that we are looking at as we're beginning to transcend the old and begin to step into the new. Now, what does that mean for an individual? Like, what does it mean you can do personally to help your journey? I do a lot of meditation myself. I probably some days 4 or 5 hours at times. Meditation, contemplation, all kinds of different meditations I do. Meditating on your soul's essence, what we call the soul, I think is really helpful right now. And I try to keep it very, almost I would say generic, in the sense that the old interpretation of a soul might be something through the lens of a Judeo-Christian mindset, meaning that, your guides are old white men, bearded men in white robes and stuff like that. Now, that's the old patriarchy. That's the old Piscean age that has ended, and we're already stepping into the Aquarian age. So those ideas, that pantheon of mythology is already old and really doesn't work. So if you're stuck into these ideas and mindsets and visuals that you work with that are like that, a lot of it is keeping you in the past. Even the origins of humanity, I think, is up for review right now. A lot of the mainstream beliefs about how we got here, who we are, and what we're doing here. I think a lot of new information is going to be coming to the masses soon. It's already bubbling up quite a bit. So there are, I believe, other intelligence that are not from this planet that have a lot to do with the evolution of humanity at this time. So I channel an energy at times called telos, Telos. Telos is a stream of consciousness from the throne energies, the throne referring to God, or call it source. And these energies, they tell me that they oversee 7 different humanoid type colonies throughout the multiverse. So while they're here guiding here, there's also 7 different worlds that they interact with. And they're not allowed to interfere. They're here to monitor and support and to give information, stuff like this. Now, the word telos, they came to me about 12 years ago, I would say. And the word telos means kind of end goal, end result, the aim of the purpose, in a sense. I think it's Aristotle who first coined the word. there is another metaphysical uh, reference to Telos that is talks about um, a Telos, a city in the earth. Now, this Telos doesn't is not the same. They know of them, but they are not directly connected to that. Just to be clear, so they're here to support us as the old program is ending. This is really important, and where they're helping us pull out of the old very gently, lovingly, clearing whatever we have to do, basically coming off the wheel of karma and helping us stand in the new. This is all part of the cosmic human 2.0, right? The other part of forces, let's call it forces, or I want to say forces rather than powers on the planet, because it is more about force than power. These other energies, let's call it, are feeling their last moments of being empowered here on the planet, and that's slowly pulling away. But that also has those individuals who channel that through them acting very psychotic, more psychotic than usual, you might say. Psychotic, sociopaths, stuff like this. We are going to see more of this coming into view. And more people who haven't even thought in these terms are going to are waking up. Not going to start. They are actually waking up and seeing the truth. So these powers that have had control over others for a long time are losing their grip on control now. And this frightens them. But the people, the collective is waking up, not just individuals, but the people are waking up. We're seeing it, in the protests going around in our country, all over the world right now, especially in authoritarian type of countries where the populace is rising up and pushing back stronger than ever before. Now, our planet is coming up in frequency as well. So as we come up in frequency, all of the structures that we've had start to crumble. Okay. And this is going to be going on for some time. This will be going on for at least 20, 30 years, probably in a pretty intense way. But then it'll be hundreds of years still till the new systems are developed and put into place more fully. So what we can do as individuals, and what I propose to everybody here, you could do it on your own. You could work with me. There's a lot of other people, I'm sure, that are going to start doing work like this. But it's about tapping into the higher aspects of self. You see, as we come up in vibration, our DNA begins to open up and change and evolve as well. As we do, the chakras start to take on a different I want to say essence, but they start to work in a new dynamic is probably the best way to say it. Telos is whispering in my ear. That's a good way to say it. So the chakras that we have in our body, in our energy field around us and above us, as well as some below us, are all, let's call them wells of resources that are here to help us attune ourselves so that we can vibrate more correctly with the new energies. Yeah. So I've been practicing this for a while and it's really interesting. So what starts to happen is in this vertical, call it a vertical ascent here, in the ascension process, what begins to happen is we begin to access higher aspects of self in the chakras, like in the crown and above. In the ninth chakra is the soul, what they call the soul star, and that's the pure soul energy of that individual for this lifetime. All right. Now, when you get into the oversoul, that's a whole other story. We're not going to talk about that today, but that oversees many lifetimes simultaneously, transcending time and space as we know it. All right. But when you get in, tap into the pure soul energy at the ninth chakra, your you have access to the Akashic records as well. And in the Akashic records are all the lifetimes that you've lived and the lessons and the experiences you've had, the good, the bad, the trauma, all of it. And we've all had many, many lifetimes. Most of us have. And so we're in the process of kind of I guess you would almost call it the harvest. We're pulling in all the experiences from many lifetimes. Many of us are doing this now and separating the wheat from the chaff. Usually there's themes, especially through the Piscean age. There's usually themes that a particular individual will have. For instance, this lifetime for me is about power and authority. And that means power and authority over my own life, not about anybody else, really. Okay, just to be real clear. And for instance, like most people who in the outer world look like they have power, usually they don't have true power, inner power. Somebody who has a lot of power doesn't talk about power. We know some examples of that. I don't have to mention anybody's name, but you get the drift. So the question is like, what is your, starting with your lifetime this time, what is it here that your essence is really here to experience and to express? And right now in the world, there's so much distraction that most people are caught up in a what we would call kind of more of a survival mode. And when you're in a survival mode, you don't have the ability really to tap into this higher part of yourself because you're in survival mode. Just trying to make it through the day, pay the rent, get through the year, put the kids through school, whatever it might be. But we are in a time where you want to be able to start truly finding your essence and expressing it forward. In the new energies, expressing one's essence is front and center. It takes on a whole new meaning. See, we're here to have these experiences. We're here to enjoy the trappings of material life. Sure, it's great, but we're not here for the materialism. We're growing, we're evolving, we're learning as a non-physical beings, taking on the skin suit through this classroom we call planet Earth. And it's my personal belief, not just mine, but a lot of people like me who do work similar to mine and who are even, very well known, believe that this is a school learning about power. It's about our learning about how to manifest our God nature abilities. That's what it's really about. So when you get caught up in the material and just blinded by it, you actually are shutting down that part of you that is eternal, that came here to learn something. Now, I'm not saying you're not learning if you're materialistic. I'm not saying that at all. But when you put that front and center over your soul's essence and expression, well, that is a problem for you. And if you're going forward into the new energies, which there's great freedom there, you must be able to tap into that essence. If you're not tapping into that, you cannot pass go, not collect $200, so on and so forth. But if you're in that alignment, then you can powerfully enjoy all the materialisms that you want, as long as you don't lose your focus on your essence and what it is that you're really here to do. So let's talk about, I'm going to talk a little bit, well, let's do some transmission and clearing, okay? So whenever I'm doing a live stream, it's wonderful for you to open up and let yourself just be absorb the energies that are right for you. Just set the intention. Anything Kenton is sharing or saying or transmitting to me, I'm open to receiving it as long as it's in my highest light and vibration. Just hold that intention. Because my intention is to transmit a lot of things to all of you out there. Okay. And I've done a lot of hard work around this myself and find that these things are really helpful. And some will resonate with some of you, and some of it won't, and that's okay. But let's do something. I want to, Spirit is whispering in my ear and saying, let's work a little bit with the mental body. We might have done that last time too, but they're really focused on that right now. So the mental body correlates, it's a layer in your auric field, and it's the mental part of you. And part of the reason we're emphasizing the mental body, two reasons. One is it to show you the perspective here. So most people thinking with the normal mental body, it's not around your head, by the way. It's around the gut. It correlates to the third chakra. And so most people who think they're thinking with their head are actually thinking with this part of them. So it's not even up here, it's down here. Okay. And there's nothing wrong with that, but we're just really pointing out the truth of it. When you get up here, you're working beyond the mental body. Most people are seeing the world through the lens of the mental body, especially here in our society. Okay, with the curriculum, especially in our society, and what people seek after is usually defined by the mental body. All right. So go ahead and close your eyes if you're listening, and you don't have to close your eyes, but it might be helpful. And tune into the solar plexus, the upper abdomen area. You can just rub it to get it activated. And this chakra, the third chakra, has the colors of golden yellow light in there. And so we're going to activate this chakra, and it correlates to the mental body, which is what we call a structured body. And it has beautiful golden yellow lines of brilliant light. When it's really healthy and strong, that's what it looks like. Okay. So I want you to just fill into that. Just trust, use your imagination. It's okay. You don't have to see anything either for this to work. But what we want to do is create a stronger mental body right now around you. This is the third layer in your field, and it correlates to the solar plexus. The solar plexus is a very strong will center. And there's a lot of change happening here where we are beginning to incorporate source energy into the solar plexus. And the prophecy is that this is the end of codependence on the planet. So instead of looking for on the horizontal plane, the horizontal journey for support, we're looking more to our connection to the source for support. Hence the end of codependency. Now, when two people are working together, supporting each other in that alignment, that's very powerful. Versus one that is, has the codependent dynamic in it, which most of us have, and there's nothing wrong with having that. I'm just saying, as we're moving into this new age, the old codependency dynamic cannot go forward. Okay. And so if you're finding yourself not getting traction, and what I'm saying is like in certain things in your life, there's a very good chance that what I'm speaking to is what's affecting that aspect of your life. All right. So if you're trying to do something in the world, but it's not manifesting, very well could be what's going on in the solar plexus and mental body. So imagine your mental body now, it's around you, depending on who you are and how big your field is, depends on where that layer actually is. But just assume it's maybe a foot outside, foot to 2 feet from your physical body. And trust your intuition tuning into it. And what we're going to do is we're going to activate and begin to charge that mental body so it can hold a better charge and also create positive thought forms. There's a lot of energies on the planet, and I'm not a conspiracy theorist or a naysayer, but a negative person really. But there's a lot of energies on the planet in our society right now that are bombarding the mental body. So it's getting a barrage of information, energy attacking it really on a daily basis right now. Even if you're not watching media, I think it's still being bombarded in many ways through the ethers even. but just allow the mental body to light up. Imagine like a gilded bird cage. That's how I always kind of imagine it. But it's the shape of your body, and there are these brilliant, almost electrical when you get to see it very clearly, clairvoyantly, um, lines of beautiful golden yellow light. And allow yourself to feel that and see that now. And allow my voice here, whether you're hearing this live or recorded, doesn't matter. Allow my voice to carry the transmission into your mental body that's going to charge it and make it more durable, make it more resilient, allow it to claim its sovereignty. You are all sovereign beings. And allow that to really give it a kick up in a sense. Let it boost its energy right now, right here. And the healing key for this layer, the mental body, is the ability to create positive thought forms. So instead of taking in all the negativity and the hate from the outside world, allow yourself to unplug from that and plug into your true essence, which is love, which is positivity, which is inspiring, which is uplifting. My guides, I can see them doing a little dance right now. So, and dancing is great for doing all this stuff too, isn't it? Stuff like that, movement with thought, dance, emotion. So see that beautiful golden yellow structured body. Once again, it looks like a gilded bird cage is the analogy I use. That's in your shape. It's all around you. See it clear, vibrant, vibrating, and ready to create new positive thought forms that as you're consciously creating your world as you go forward. Beautiful. Next, we're going to do a little bit in the throat chakra. I was going to go up to the sixth, but Spirit said, Kenton, go to the fifth chakra. So we're going to the fifth chakra. It's also a will center, like the third chakra is. And we're going to not just into the chakra itself, but into the layer around the chakra, which is an etheric template, is what we call it. Basically, your day-to-day blueprint, like how you operate on a day-to-day basis in the world. And there's also a strong will center, like the third chakra. This is what we call higher will, though. We get into higher will in the throat. And higher creativity as well. When we're working with vibration, the fifth chakra is all about frequency, vibration, sound. When one is really connected to their source, they're speaking words into reality, speaking words into reality, creating worlds through our words. That's what we're doing right now. Let yourself open to this power that's innate in each and every one of you. And around what correlates with the fifth chakra is the fifth layer, etheric template, that blueprint. It is also a structured body. All the will centers are structured. And it looks like blue, white lines, like a reverse blueprint, shape of a human body again. And the healing key for this one is knowing or gaining a sense of your truth and purpose. So this is from the soul level, your truth and purpose. So many of us sometimes think we know what our truth and purpose is, but maybe we're off, maybe we're on, but there's always more to gain. We will never really get there in this lifetime. we're always gaining a greater sense of our truth and purpose. It's an ongoing thing. It's a journey, not a destination. So, in this moment, as you're hearing my words, ask yourself to tune into your higher self, to your soul. Tune into the soul level of who you are and ask that that essence begin to correlate with your fifth layer, with the third template. That's your blueprint. So if your blueprint and your soul are aligned, you're golden, really, you see. And this is where greatest satisfaction in life, happiness, all of that comes to be. We're just going to sit here and I'm just going to kind of imagine if you were here in my presence, whoever you may be, even if we've never met, most of you I haven't, just allow yourself to receive the energy that helps you discover your truth and purpose, your expression out into the world. I was going to hold this for a few moments till Spirit tells me to move. Just allow yourself to receive the energies. There's many energies coming through. Quite amazing, actually. So we don't have to be the same for you to receive through me the energies that are appropriate for you. Full spectrum coming through, it feels. Just allow yourself to receive that which is good for you, that which helps support you evolve. Into your blueprint. Allow your blueprint. It's all up to you. You are your own sovereign being. Let it program to the new energies that are here for you right now, right here, right now. Take that step forward in your life. Be courageous, be brave, be moved by your soul. We're just facilitating it. We're not doing anything but facilitating your own evolution here, if you want it. If you want it, here it is. Come and get it. Allow yourself to receive and gently asking your higher self, no matter what you think you know already, about what is my higher truth? What is my essence here? What is the truth of my essence? It has nothing to do with what you do for work or, it's deeper. It's more fundamental than that. What is your greater truth? Maybe it's a word or a short sentence you hear. It's usually pretty simple. It's not convoluted. Your truth and your purpose. How about your purpose? Mm. Soul, please speak to me telepathically, energetically, through feelings, through words, through symbols, pictures in my inner eye, my inner mind. What is my purpose? Once again, it's not about job. Usually our purpose and our truth align with our vocations. Usually, not always. Depends on the individual. Sometimes to a great extent, sometimes to a lesser extent. Feel the energy, feel the transmission, clarifying. That's all we're doing is holding the space and clearing it so that you can discover it yourself. That's it. See you all out there. Beautiful souls. Mm. Let the light light you up. Let the truth lift you. Let your purpose excite you, motivate you. Let it move you. Yes. Now, that felt good for me. I hope you got some out of it. It felt good to me. So we're going to now go to the throat chakra itself. We're kind of in the field there, but now we're going to go into the throat itself, throat chakra, fifth chakra. It's most cases for most people, it's like a sky blue color, robin egg blue, sky blue. There might be some other colors in there. Now, this is also where higher will begins to weave into our personal will, let's call it. I remember years ago, I was living in LA, and there's a Yogananda, Paramahansa Yogananda Center called Lake Shrine down by the ocean in Malibu area, kind of at the beginning of Malibu. I used to live near the Getty Museum there in Bel Air, and I drive my car all the way down Sunset to the Lake Shrine, and it's a beautiful piece of property. You could walk around it. There's a little lake there. There's a shrine to Gandhi as well, and some of his ashes are there. And I just loved walking around there. You know, in LA, it's a great oasis. And there'd be little signs and sayings of Yoganandas around the lake on the walk on little boards, little things that they put up. And I remember one of my favorites was, I don't know if I'm saying exactly the right way, but the idea is the only good use of personal will is using it to reach for higher will. And what that means really is, for instance, this is how I interpret it. I have a couple of different ways to interpret it, but so, for instance, when you sit down to meditate, to get into your busy day, you're in your busy day, and they get into the space to meditate. That's personal will. Okay, you have to kind of, okay, I'm going to go be quiet. I'm going to sit down or do whatever you do. You're going to, lock the doors, turn off the phone. That's all personal will. Then you sit down and you start to meditate. That's still personal will. And then you hold the intention, I'm connecting to my higher self, my source, my whatever kind of meditation you're doing. That's still personal will. And then when you start to get that connection to the higher will, you let go of the personal will and let higher will flow through you. Now, I'm not saying that's the perfect way to look at it. That's how I see it. In my mind's eye, I think of the lower will as almost being we have something to do on the eve outside, or hanging Christmas lights on the eaves, above the garage or whatever it is. Bring out the ladder, and you open up the ladder. And I think doing that is kind of, climb up the ladder to higher will. In my mind, I think of it that way. That's the little symbolism, little picture vignette that goes through my mind when I'm thinking about it. But the idea is that you exercise your will to reach for a higher will. And then over time, we weave higher will into our system, into who we are. And that can take a long time. That's also what I call the dance of wills, because they'll go back and forth for a long time. I still dance with those wills. But I find myself becoming less satisfied with lower will and much happier when I'm in higher will. And anyhow, so this is a will center in the fifth chakra. And, the Egyptians believed that speaking the written word was so powerful. They believed the written word to be incantations, really spells, that when spoken would create reality. I believe this to be true. And so only the pharaohs and high priests were allowed to really read and write and speak it out because they believed that, this power would be too much for most people. And they didn't want to have everybody, creating reality. They wanted the pharaohs to do it and so on, the high priests. You get the drift. But in our society, we've lost the connection to that power, the power behind the spoken word. As you align with your higher will and your essence, and you're speaking from this place, well, then that's something to behold. And if you're doing it correctly, you'll start to notice what you speak shows up in the world. Here in my house with myself and my partner, she and I experience it all the time, whether it's me or her doing it. When we're in that alignment, we'll speak things, and like, for instance, the TV will be on in the background. All of a sudden, we'll hear the same words come out of the TV. We'll go, wow, is that coincidence? It happens all the time. So we know it's not coincidence. You have a thought, and then all of a sudden you speak to it, and then it starts to, you'll see it throughout your day, whatever it might be. So this is a very powerful part of humanity that has been not only lost, but is also, in many ways, I think, trying to be stifled in humanity at this time of great shift and change. So let's do one more Spirits Whispering in My Ear before we end the live stream today. And by the way, thank you everybody for being here. Let's do one more before we close today. And this will kind of bring together what we've been talking about. So why don't you go ahead and close your eyes if your eyes are not closed. This is all little pieces that kind of complete the whole, okay? And calling on your higher self. I call on my higher self to do my very best. I call on my connection to my higher will to guide me clearly with truth and purpose. And so it is. Now, I want you to imagine in your chest area, in the heart, what we call the heart space. I want you to imagine almost like a bubble of light there. It could be golden, it could be pink, white, golden. Doesn't matter, but imagine this area. It's like a reservoir, a heart space that's a reservoir. And you're going to fill it up with your essences. I intend to hold my essence in my heart. I intend to hold my essence in my heart. And feel it. If you don't feel it directly, allow yourself to imagine yourself feeling it. Use your imagination a little bit. Just allow that area in the chest, your heart space, which is a multidimensional space, to fill with love and light and your essence, your connection to your source. Oh, and just imagine it, see it, feel it, be it, breathe it in. And this is your sovereign self, you and your connection to your source. Breathe it in and hold the intention that you speak from this place. Hold the intention that you come from this beautiful reservoir of your essence you're holding here. And your heart is aligned with the mind, with the soul, and you speak from this powerful space. Especially for any of you who have difficult conversations coming up, or even fun, creative conversations, or brainstorming, at work or whatever it might be. Come from this place and channeling your essence into yourself. And then with your heart, your mind, what is it you want to say? Is it aligned with your purpose and truth? If it is, you're empowered. You're greatly empowered. This is the making of gods, really. Just breathe that in. Let it expand. Let yourself feel it in your chest. Maybe you feel it throughout your whole body. Feel yourself being empowered, not force, empowered. It's not effort, it's intention, it's desire, aligned with higher will, using your personal will to reach for that higher will. When you start to speak from this place, manifest more powerfully. So we're going to start winding up today's live stream. It's been great. We're getting the bugs out of the machine here. It's been I don't know, all the technical stuff. Just kind of some notes here too. As you can still stay in that space if you want. I'm just going to share a few things real quick here. I am going to launch this. I'm calling Soul Star. It helps people connect to what we're talking about. It's going to be fairly inexpensive. I think I might even pair it with one session. Usually my sessions are $250 a session, and I do work on a little bit of a sliding scale. But I'm probably going to do it like it's probably a 3-4 group meetings over a period of 2 weeks, and with one one individual session. Maybe just for the price of like 250 or 300, might tack on another $50. I want to make it accessible to everybody, and if you have any trouble even with that, but you're very interested in, always call me and we can talk about that, about the cost of it. My website's down right now. I'm doing my own. I moved it over. It was working fine. And so I'm working out some of the bugs. It should be up in 24 hours, I believe. We'll just hopefully. And we'll be doing more of these live streams every week, I think, as long, maybe not every Sunday of the month, but at least 3 of them, probably 4, depending on what's going on here. I love you all. There's nothing you can do about it. Thank you for being here with me. And be good to yourselves during these times of great change. Rest more often if you need it. Eat healthy foods. Take care of yourself. Get out in nature. Go swim. Go climb a mountain. Whatever, lifts your spirit. Okay, folks. Thank you so much. Love you all. See you soon. Bye-bye. Bye for now.